Hi, my name is Gibson, and I'm the co-owner and creator of the Personal Development School. This is your daily breakthrough video, and in this video, I'm going to boil down for you 7 key reasons the dismissive avoidant attachment style might be taking you for granted in a relationship. And this can apply to all relationships, especially romantic relationships. Before I dive in, please make sure that you like, share, subscribe to this channel. I'm going to be doing future webinars coming up soon, just like once a month or so, that will be just open to everybody who's part of this community, and you'll get some questions answered. It'll be a live event. So you have to make sure you click on the notification to be able to attend that with me. And then also, we are doing a sale right now to support our community, and the coupon code is with you. It's all one word. It's for the all access membership. You get 25% off, and it gives you access to all 30 different courses, all of the previously recorded webinars we have, which are over 100 on bonus content, and 4 ongoing webinars per week for members specifically in the community, just open live Q&A and special bonus content. So you can click the description, the link in the description below, or also the link on the video to get over there and to gather that coupon right now. So let's talk about this. This is a huge issue for so many individuals, okay? First and foremost, one of the reasons a dismissive avoidant individual takes another attachment style for granted is because they are so preoccupied with their own space that they don't get the chance to appreciate the relationship. So if they have somebody who they're in the relationship with who needs less space than them and might make them feel like they're like sort of their space or time alone is being infringed upon, the dismissive avoidant gets so preoccupied with trying to carve out space for themselves and not lose themselves that they can't possibly come to miss another person or to think about how much they appreciate you in the relationship, because they are in defense mode. They are in protective mode. And so something that's really important that you can do to sort of transform that is you can just have an open conversation about space. You can be like, hey, how much space do you need? How much space do I need? And like, let me know where you're at, so at least I can respect your baseline level boundaries. And you want to work to do that. And sometimes this means as the other individual, like, you know, in that relationship with a dismissive avoidant, sometimes that means really empowering yourself in all areas of your life so that you're relying on this person for healthy interdependence, but there isn't a dependency there if part of that in fact exists. Now, obviously as well, the dismissive avoidant can often have work to do in like their side of interdependency by becoming less independent and actually opening up, being vulnerable, letting their needs be met by others and meeting the needs of other people. It can sort of go both ways, but just on the sake of this topic, why the dismissive avoidant can take you for granted, literally this has a lot to do with them being preoccupied with their own space-time boundaries, and you can cut the whole stressor out of the relationship by just having a conscious conversation about boundaries and establishing compromises, not sacrifices, but compromises that work for both of you, okay? Number 2, often they can be in a state of having competing needs, okay? One side of their needs is to protect themselves, and usually they have these needs to protect themselves because they've got a lot of fears about vulnerability, commitment, pressure, being trapped, being helpless, not being able to speak up, like all these different things, being in conflict, all these things that scare them because of their previously subconsciously programmed associations about relationships in general that usually stem from their early caregiver relationships. So if they have this going on, let's imagine that their fears are a 7 out of 10, and let's say they like you or they're interested in you, an 8 or a 9 out of 10. You're getting a net 1 or 2. Like, you are getting like a positive 1 or 2 at the end. And we want to be clear about that. Like, how does that feel to be in a relationship with somebody like that? You have to make sure that you're carving out space to feel like you're, you know, connected and wanted and cared for in a relationship. And sometimes that means really asking that this person does some of that work around those fears so that they can show up and be fully there, instead of having this push-pull of like interest in you, but then fears holding them back, and then you only get the difference, right? Number 3, another huge one is that you aren't saying no to a dismissive avoidant sometimes, which means like you basically condition this person to always have expectations of you. And the moment you don't, they're like, what's going on? And it's not because they're expecting you all the time to be perfect consciously. It's because you've conditioned them to see you as the person that always supports, always provides, always gives, and asks nothing in return. So that's something that you, if that's you in this relationship, you have to be able to do that work around. And maybe this is your friend. Maybe this is your family member. Maybe this is a sibling, like who knows? But make sure that you're just checking in and that you're able to say no. And I don't mean say no for the sake of saying no. I mean say no for the sake of literally being able to tune into yourself, take yourself into accountability when you're making decisions, or not into accountability, into consideration when you're making decisions, so that you can feel like you're getting seen, heard, understood. And this brings us to our next point here, which is that you're people pleasing. And it's sometimes connected to this, but I want to touch on a different side of this. So one of the reasons you can get taken advantage in terms of people pleasing is that you don't get fully seen, heard, or understood when you're people pleasing. You're not being who you are and showing yourself to somebody when you're people pleasing. You're being who you think that person expects you to be, and you're throwing away your identity, your boundaries, your needs, your desires, your interests, your opinions. You're repressing them, your emotions. You're repressing all that stuff to fit into what you think people expect from you. And you're just always going to feel taken for granted as a result of that, because you're not showing anybody who you are. So you're not going to get loved for who you are. The next one is you're not communicating your needs. So these three are sort of tied together, but they're really important individual layers, right? Like we have to be able to show up for our needs, communicate, get those needs met, see those needs through, remind people of our needs if they forget. And this must be done in a healthy way. And if it's not done in a healthy way, then it will come off as criticism when we reach our boiling point of repressed needs. And the criticism makes the dismissive avoidant withdraw. So now you have not only unmet needs, but by the time you go to communicate them, because they're not coming across in a way that's productive, now you have a net negative impact, because now the person's even pulled away further when you've communicated your needs, which is going to leave you feeling even more taken for granted, even more unheard and misunderstood. And the last two pieces in here that I want to touch on, which are all of these are really like going hand in hand, is you don't know yourself. And so if you don't know yourself, you don't know your boundaries, right? You don't know your desires, your opinions. And so if you're just in a box of like, I just be what people expect, or I don't know where my boundaries end, like where I end and somebody else begins. I don't know my time boundaries, my emotional boundaries, my thought boundaries, all these different things. Then of course you're going to feel taken for granted in relationships, because we can't get seen, heard, loved, receive anything really effectively if we're not asking or showing up to carve out space and allow ourselves to take up space as individuals for the people that we are. And the last one is you don't show yourself. The more we hide any parts of ourselves, even the parts we think of as being unworthy, because maybe we're like, oh, it's bad to be too loud. It's bad to be, whatever traits we're ashamed of or we've associated with shame within ourselves, we're hiding and we're pushing down. And then when we are all hopelessly seeking for unconditional love, we're not going to feel unconditionally loved by anybody if we're not showing all of ourselves, so that we give space for somebody to see all of us and then to come to love us without conditions. So when it comes to being taken for granted, it's so important that you know yourself, that you show yourself, that you communicate your needs, especially in a healthy way and especially proactively and consistently. So we're not doing it from a boiling point that creates criticism. It's important that we're not people pleasing, that we're okay to say no sometimes when we practice and we feel safe to do so. And then the dismissive avoidant, it's very important for them to make sure they do the work on their competing needs, their fears about relationships compared to the attraction they have for you, or the love or care or like or infatuation they have for you in a relationship, and that they get space and time so that they don't have to be so preoccupied and in an anxious relationship to themselves, being preoccupied with their own space and time with self as a means to self-soothe. So I hope this all makes sense. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe if you're getting a lot of value out of this channel. And we literally have courses on all this stuff: boundaries, knowing your needs, how to speak up, how to communicate effectively, reprogramming your attachment style, how your attachment style speaks to the dismissive avoidant. All these courses are inside of the school. And again, that coupon code is with you, all one word, for 25% off our all access pass. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.